Kevin Gates. Have you guys ever heard of Kevin Gates?
Who the fuck is Kevin
I am your
Gates?
Broke Till Friday DM, and today I will be guiding you through the crazy world of Kevin Gates.
My character is...
Is he the owner of Gates?
Kevin Gates is not related to Bill Gates.
That is not who I expected Kevin Gates
He's
to
an
be.
American rapper. All
I-
right. We have this absolutely fucking nuts video.
What do you do?
I would not have expected...
You gotta elaborate with this, but you find out some crazy shit about your cousins. Say less.
Which one? Oh, the one I was busting up? That's a normal occurrence in the South.
What?
Like,
In the South.
you got to think our families were separated due to slavery and all of that shit. So we don't know who our family is like that. We come from big families. So it's easy to meet somebody that you don't know that's your cousin and you get to nailing them and then y'all do the math and you find out that they're related to you. Because a lot of us was displaced through slavery. Like, see, people want to talk about that part, but they don't want to talk about where it come from. But that's cool, you know. I'm not tripping.
Well, neither am I.
I'll do it again.
Now you tripping.
Now you
I'll
Really
do it
though?
again. Well, with Shorty, we good friends right now. But once I found out I ain't stopped, I was still pinning her to the floor. Because, you know, that bed, she could kind of move with the bed on that floor. You can't run from it.
Okay,
Wait,
hold
did
on.
he
So-
just
hold on,
admit
so-
to...
Hold on, just to add on that, I've had this hypothetical with my girl.
What,
If you found out that you
were dating your
were
cousin,
dating you found out you guys, well, yeah, for you also,
let's say, right?
what would you do if you found out that
your
your wife
significant other
was your cousin, dude?
Okay.
As of right
Gotcha.
now in this moment,
Like right now, someone
Yeah.
just busted through that door
And goes,
him
"Here's
like,
the DNA test."
Yeah.
she's your cousin, she's your third cousin or whatever. What would you do?
Well, okay.
I think
I
it would
for
depend
one
how far
agree,
removed.
and I would have done the same, dude. I would agree with Kevin Gates. I'm a fucking fiend. I'm a bastard, dude.
He's like, I'll do it again.
I
dude.
already met
Oh,
her, and I'm
God.
like, I see her as her. I don't see her as my cousin. We weren't raised together. You know, that's kind of gross. But I think I make an exception just with her. Just for her.
I think it depends how far removed, cousin.
Well, okay, so that too, right? Not
Yeah.
to get my
Because
Alabama
technically
degree
speaking,
out, but
depending how far you go out, you're related to everyone on Earth.
yeah,
but
but like a
it-
second cousin is basically not even really your cousin. You know, like your
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it, right? Your first cousin is like the worst one, obviously, right?
Well,
Because-
that's like one step away from like your sibling. Like,
exactly. They are blood related.
Yeah.
Second cousin might
Gets a
not
little
even
iffier,
be.
but
yeah, might
I
not
don't know.
even
I
be
would still
blood related. I
consider
don't know.
that cousins.
Yeah. No,
Like-
I know. But like once, let's look up the chart, right?
Oh,
Like,
to bring up the
Cousin
tree.
chart.
Okay, no, okay. Look, before we bring
no,
up the
'cause-
cousin chart, so I have two.
University
thoughts
of
about this.
Alabama.
One.
University, is that really what it is? The University of Alabama?
Oh, fuck. Okay, like it depends. One, how far away they are, like genetically, and two, it depends how socialized are you with them. Because if they're your
Yes.
eighth cousin, twice removed or
Yes.
whatever
But
the
you
fuck,
grew up with them.
but you grew up with them and like you saw them every day as your cousin, I think like that's
fucking
weird.
Olive Garden. Dude.
That's
You're
weird.
family.
What if it's like you're adopted,
Yeah.
and then you find out some
Later on?
twisted way? Yeah,
That's happened.
That's why like
That has
like
happened
step
with brother and
stuff is
sister.
also kind of weird because like you're socialized to be siblings.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Yeah,
doesn't stop the porn directors, but
that's true.
so the reason I said there's a cousin chart, right, is because you have first cousins, second cousins, and then you have cousins once removed. Do you guys know what once removed is?
Yeah, different
you know, I always
generation.
heard that, and I always thought it was like they were disowned by the family or something. And
Yeah.
they're like,
that
"Oh,
kid was
yeah,
removed."
I thought that too.
He's shameful.
He's twice removed.
He was removed twice. We let him back in, but he was such a piece of shit. We kicked him out again.
That's what I thought. It was.
So, your cousin chart, right? Your parents, you have your siblings, right?
Yes.
Your uncle, your aunt, they're your first cousin. When your first cousin has a kid, that's not a second cousin. That's your first cousin once removed. And then their kid is your first cousin twice removed. So that means you, as you know, your sibling, they have a niece when they have a daughter, and when their daughter has, another daughter, your sibling has a grandchild, but you have a grandniece, grandnephew, right? So it's you, children, grandchildren, your sibling, niece, grandniece, uncle, first cousin once removed, first cousin twice removed, and it just keeps adding on like that. They just keep, removing the farther down of a sibling that you have,
They remove
the
your
more
cousinhood.
removed. Yeah. But when you have great grandparents, like let's say, right, your grandparents, and then you have a grand aunt, their son is technically your first cousin once removed. But I know a lot of people just call them uncle or aunt anyway. Like,
Yeah.
in Mexico, right? It's like,
Yeah.
it's just tío, tía, whatever, right? So it's your first cousin once removed, your uncle, and then their son or daughter would be your second cousin.
Yeah.
So still technically blood related, right?
Second cousins.
Once you get to Gen 3, that's basically where it's not technically related. It's just like, according to this chart, which Walter will post up, they're not related anymore, right? University of Alabama, it says right there at the bottom. But this is an actual, unironically, this is a problem in Ireland because of how small the gene pool is.
Oh.
Also,
And in-
Greenland.
Yeah.
Greenland.
In Slavic.
Wait, is it
sorry,
Greenland
Slavic.
or Iceland?
Nordic
One of
countries.
them.
One of those two.
They're interchangeable. There's greenery in Iceland and there's ice in Greenland. That's the only way I
Correct.
remember them.
Correct. And it's a legitimate problem because, like I said, there's a limited gene pool because of how small those
They have
countries are.
government-funded apps to track.
Yeah,
It's more
it's-
Texas than Texas.
It's more
More Alabama.
Alabama.
Alabama,
Yeah.
sorry.
Sweet home
They're
Alabama.
interchangeable.
Yeah.
No, I think Texas
One
has a
southern
little more.
country, I mean, one southern state is the same as another. So.
No, because remember, Texas is still staunchly like, oh, we're independent and we don't need your energy. While Alabama's like, give me money, please, to the U.S. government anytime a tragedy happens. So,
Yeah.
but I digress. So yeah, according to that cousin chart, first cousins, second cousins, do not do it. Third cousins are fair game. That's basically what I'm hearing. Okay, guys. So everyone who's watching from Alabama, we have 2 viewers from Alabama. I looked it up this morning on Spotify. Make sure you're only third cousins and you're good. The problem, obviously, besides being an ethical dilemma, right, is that you get, genetic mishaps the more that they interchange. Obviously, this guy's fucking nuts because he said he found out and then he was like, I still clapped that shit. Like, that was, you even saw Charlemagne's face. He was like, he was horrified, dude. He was horrified. But
Wait,
yeah.
So Michael, you would do the same thing, right? Like if you found out
Yeah,
today.
Michael
wife-
did,
my wife,
has
if it
done,
was my wife,
will do,
See, you can avoid all
and
of this.
anticipates
I
See, you
can't go through that emotional like
trauma again.
and like like I love this person and for so many years and then now it's like nah, you can't. It's like fuck. It's like I don't know.
See, you can
Well,
avoid all this.
because it's a hypothetical. It's a.
Yeah, you can avoid all this. Just date outside your race. It's fine.
But then that's race mixing, and that's actually bad. Remember, because
Just
you
date
gotta
outside your
keep
own
the
culture.
race pure.
Gotta keep it pure,
La
dude.
raza. Again, for legal reasons, it's a joke.
Because it's like it's a tricky thing to talk about, you know. For me, I think because
I don't-
what do you think about mixed racing, dude? Mixed breeding.
I mean, I'm literally dating someone that's not my race. So
what is she? No, if you don't mind me asking.
she's Persian.
Okay. Okay. No, I just wanted to know. I just
Like
wanted-
literally, the
curious.
majority of the people I've dated, except for maybe like 1 or 2, have been of different races.
What do you think about the reason I feel like it's tricky is like what do you think about like cultures when they collide with each other?
Well,
Share what you
cultures-
want to share.
exactly.
and that's different. That's culture and race are a little bit different.
Because
Right.
Very different. Because remember, you can be
Yeah.
white Slavic and you can be white Italian, and they'll be like those dirty Italians in the Bronx.
Dude, racism is such a weird
'cause
concept
no-
because you can be racist against people of your own culture. Just think about like how Alabamans can like dislike
Alabamans.
Texans. Yeah, like just like the generic example up top.
Well,
like
here's the
there's
reason why I
there's
say
examples of people like from within like hardcore Italy, like right next to like the Colosseum and stuff, hating other Italians that are like
Yeah.
literally less than like a quarter of a mile
the
away.
reason I bring it up is because of the culture thing. Is because of let's say like right now it's a big deal when people of other ethnicities take a certain culture and then put their little spin on it. For specifically like when white people take a certain culture and then they do a little thing like they make spa water or something like that.
water?
Spa
Yeah,
water,
that-
you know?
it's
It's
agua
supposed to be
fresca.
aguas frescas.
Yeah.
Spa water.
they repackage it, but that's different. That's
And no,
cultural
no,
appropriation.
Cultural appropriation. So that's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
like when you're mixing, when you're having relationships and making families with other ethnicities, they come with different cultures, right?
Yeah.
And then those cultures collide. That's what I'm saying. So where does the line stand between like culture appropriation and just cultures coming together? You get what I mean?
Well, it's if you essentially have like I don't want to say claim, but like it's essentially if you have like a stake in the culture. If you date someone outside of your race and you guys have a kid, or even if you're just dating, you're gonna want to experience the other person's culture. That's just byproduct. You love them, you love what they're into. They're gonna, if they care about their culture, you're gonna come into contact with that culture. Like it's not like the issue with cultural appropriation isn't the fact that they're like making spa water, is that they're being disrespectful of the culture. They're not, saying
not
like, oh yeah,
giving
it's
credit
agua
to the-
fresca.
They're being
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
intentionally ignorant.
Yeah,
about
they're
it.
being
Okay,
intentionally
okay.
ignorant. It's the disrespect that comes from the usage. As long as you're not disrespectful, I don't really consider it. I personally don't really consider it cultural appropriation.
So would you? So in this hypothetical, let's say it is a Mexican that meets a Caucasian person,
Mhm.
right? And she's very like out there about her culture. Like when she is living amongst
Mhm.
her significant other and they're living together, she shows her culture very much in like the way she wears, the way she dresses, the music, etc., etc., etc. You can think of, and then the guy takes of some of it and does his own spin on it, and then shows it to his family, and then like let's say she shows him how to make fucking Mexican food of some kind of dish, and then he takes it, he hears the dish, and he doesn't follow it recipe by recipe, but since has a wife that's Mexican, he can put his little spin on it, he can change it up, and he can just say, oh well, it's my wife's recipe, even though, and then maybe some people can be saying like, oh, he's culturally appropriating that dish, he's making it,
well,
he's
he's
no,
not
watching it.
claiming
he's not
to be
culture.
like
Yeah.
so I think the
you're
thing with
just
that is,
describing how cultures interact and mix together. Like, for example,
he's not claiming to have come up with a dish. That's why. That would be
There's-
one type of.
think of katsu. Whenever you go eat curry,
Fried chicken?
most of the stuff that I've seen, the Koreans in particular didn't have katsu until African Americans went over there during the Korean War and introduced fried chicken to them.
But the
And
Koreans,
then
they always
took it and
mention
did
that, though, how,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
where they got
Yeah,
that
that's
from.
why. And they're not claiming that they're the originators of that. They're just creating their the originators of this iteration of this dish.
And this is because I've seen it in person, not in person. I'm sorry. I've seen examples of it where they do the same. Like certain cultures will do that with other cultures, and they don't really give credit or say like this is like for the spa water example. Like they
Yeah.
didn't say it was aguas frescas because it's like they reinvented it. It's not necessarily like those people, but some people do it in the same way where
Mhm.
like they'll take a spin on a dish that has culture embedded in it, and since they have that significant other, they feel like they can do a spin on it and then reinvent it in a way and then be like, this is my spin on this, even though it's like it's like specifically to how it's made. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Like,
Kinda.
let me word it better. Like, it's like, how do I say it? Okay, so let's say an immigrant woman from whatever country you can think of, Asia, whatever, has relationships with someone here that's white.
Mhm.
They have a family together. They have kids together. They're already living here in America, and then she genuinely would make meals and stuff like that to the kids and give them everything, and then talk to them in her language and stuff like that.
Mhm.
The guy eventually somehow, for some predicament, maybe she can't make food, and he does the food, and he does his own take on it, and he names it whatever it's called, and he invented it. But even though it's a lot of influence from her culture,
Mhm.
and then he posts it on TikTok like, look what I made this da 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 da, even though it's not anything. And then maybe Asian community would be like, that's not even how you make it, that's not how you're supposed to do it, you're whitewashing it, you're making it shit, whatever. That's what I mean, controversy like that when cultures collide. That's what I feel about, like, what is the answer to that when those things happen? What is
Ignore
the right
them
way
and
to it?
enjoy your own life.
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of sounds like all those people commenting are kind of not to go extreme, because it does depend how much he
Right.
changed it. Because like
Yeah,
if
that's
he
what
if
I'm
he
saying.
changed, like if he just said, oh, it's too spicy for me, I'm not gonna add chili to this recipe.
Like he did his own spin on dumplings and he calls them, I don't know, spicy buns or something like that. You get me? And he's not saying like anything that's like where he got the influence from or anything like that. He's just these are spicy buns. I made them up.
Then
Even
yeah,
even though they look
appropriation.
like
Yeah,
even though
that's
they look
cultural
like
appropriation
dumplings.
then.
Yeah.
when
Well, like-
they're renaming and claiming it as their own,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
appropriation.
It's like the baseline is simply just that, like, if you're disrespecting where you got it from, basically. If you're disrespecting the culture that you originally got it from,
Yep.
that's basically cultural appropriation. It's the disrespect is the key ingredient, if you will, in
Exactly.
cultural appropriation. Without the disrespect, it's harder to call it that, and it would depend on so many different other variables that, like, you could go into like an infinite regression of just trying to decide for any single issue. It was like, oh, is it still currently cultural appropriation now that like chicken katsu is so associated with
Right.
with Korean and Japanese
Asian,
food and
Japanese,
stuff?
yeah.
Like, I wouldn't say so. I mean, like that particular style of fried chicken is so ingrained in them. It's not, the same thing anymore. But it just depends. Like as long as there's no disrespect in there, like that's the key ingredient.
So cultural appreciation is about honoring a culture, whereas cultural appropriation is dishonoring or demeaning a culture. Like when they go, I'm wearing like blackface. Just simple as that. The most extreme thing you can think of, right? Blackface is not only racist; it's cultural appropriation, right?
Oh,
because
is
they're
it?
well.
I mean, obviously, I
they're
knew it was
wearing-
racism. I didn't think it was a cultural appropriation.
Because they're demeaning the
Yeah, yeah.
culture. The whole point is making a caricature of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with if you're like, I'm gonna put on this.
Or maybe not culture appropriation. Would you call it culture stealing? I
Well,
don't
that
know.
is cultural appropriation.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's
Same
appropriation.
thing.
Because when you're
'cause
stealing
there's
something,
two
it's with
things.
ill intent.
Yeah, because there's
You're
two
taking it and
things.
renaming it and rebranding it in a different, like as your own, even though the influences are from a certain culture, but you're never giving credit to those cultures.
Yeah.
Or if
Yeah.
you are, you use it as like oh, my wife is this, so that's how you get away with it. You get me, even though it's different.
Well,
I mean,
if you
even
say
if
my
you-
wife is this, so I can say this.
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
But if you go,
that's
my
like
wife,
saying like that. I have
my-
a black friend excuse. Yeah.
My wife is this, and she taught me how to make this. That's a very different thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like I think the lines between, because like the thing is, I also think that like cultures, generally speaking, should not be segmented.
Because
Because segmenting cultures tends to how you get ethnostates, and ethnostates tend to how you get genocides.
right.
Those things directly lead into each other.
Going backtracking a little bit, what you said about Koreans and the katsu and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's when I think cultures mixing together works, because they always give the mention like where they got it from. Like when they're
Mhm.
asked like where did the Japanese get this
Appreciation, yeah.
get
Yeah,
this
yeah.
ideas from, or where did you guys come up with it? It's like they always bring it back to where they got it from. Do you think people here in America do the same thing when they're taking in cultures?
A lot of white people don't.
That's what I mean.
That's the
yeah.
thing. That's the thing. That's why cultural appropriation became such a hot topic, because white people literally were the main ones not doing that.
Yeah.
You already probably have one example, Spa Water. They also did raps. Raps were another thing that they
Yeah.
culturally appropriated.
Tortillas.
The list is ended. The list is endless for what, like, generally
Yeah.
speaking, recently white people have
You ever been
culturally
to-
appropriated.
you ever
The
been-
point is disrespect. Like the line between cultures mixing together and someone taking something from another culture is a little blurry, but the barrier between them is essentially the disrespect that comes with stealing something from another culture. It's the aspect of disrespect.
I think they
that-
just
that
need to give
changes
credit
things.
to the original influence. That's it. That's what make
Yeah.
that's all
That's
it
one
would take.
thing. Yeah.
Honestly,
Mm-hmm. So,
then it wouldn't be an issue.
back to Kevin Gates being a nut, right? So this reminded me of Dennis Prager. You guys know PragerU, the right wing thing, right?
Yeah.
Listen to
The
this
right
guy.
wing.
Nutbag.
dude.
Listen to
Yeah.
this.
There's no secular argument against adult incest. Brother and sister want to make love. What's your argument?
What?
That they're going to produce mentally offspring? It's nonsense. Takes many generations of inbreeding to do that.
Oh.
If you need religious doctrine to dissuade you from having sex with your siblings, you might have a problem. You might have a problem.
Yeah. Oh, you remember when Anna used to be good?
Yeah, this is an
Those
old
were the
one.
days.
9 months ago. So
When TYT and Anna Kasparian used to be good. Sucks to suck.
yeah, so it's there are laws against it also. The
Dude,
fact that he's like, what's your
the
argument?
fact that, like, okay, like, here's the thing. If you need, like, an external source of authority to tell you, hey, maybe it's bad if you fuck your the cousin you grew up with.
You know what though? This doesn't surprise me at all. Kevin Gates. You know why?
Why?
I just read the name of the first song of one of the first songs, or well,
Thinking with
2012.
my dick.
Yeah, thinking with my dick.
Thinking with my dick.
So I'm not surprised that he'd continue to bang his own cousin.
I mean, the other thing is that the other aspect to that is that, how do you call it? I kind of lost my train of thought. Not gonna lie, my brain just farted.
All right, well,
You went.
Yeah.
What was that? What was that guy that was just on the podium and he just stayed still?
oh, you busted a Mitch McConnell?
Keep on- that's
Oh,
what
yeah,
Mitch
yeah,
McConnell
just-
did.
I wonder if he's dead yet.
No, unfortunately.
Uh,
Unfortunately. So
Oh, dude. Oh, what's her face? That 90-year-old that's like in the Senate, I think.
Dianne Feinstein.
Dianne Feinstein.
Fucking Palpatine.
She no yeah.
Yeah.
She had to she can't make decisions for her personal life anymore. Her niece, I think, has control over her personal life, and yet she's in the fucking Senate
How does that make sense, dude?
making laws for everyone.
Because
that shit's
they are the
retarded.
Senate.